to the Eclectic Entertainment Experience, hosted by James Vassar. Welcome to the Eclectic Entertainment Experience, Triple E Podcast for short. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. I'm your host, James Vassar, and I'm excited for you to join me on this quest. This week's quest. This quest. Whatever we're doing. Could be this week, could be right now, could be a year from now. Who knows? Anyways, that was a little sidetracking. So today is actually January 20th. That's a couple days late to the actual posting of when it should have been posted. So I do apologize for that. Was actually ready to board, and then the plane, well, it was not ready to depart. Yeah, I know. They canceled my flight. I was stranded for a couple days, but yep, here we are. I need to shower. And probably need to get some sleep, but here goes nothing. We are gonna do this. I believe in us. I believe in us. So today's journey is a fun one because we're actually doing some walking. We will actually be doing some walking, and we'll be doing this specific walking without our shoes, just like the main characters of this book series slash movie making trilogy series thing. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I know. You guessed it. It's Star Wars.
That's not how the Force works.
Yeah, that's definitely not right. Sorry, that was definitely incorrect. It is actually Lord of the Rings. Oh, bring it. Bring it to me, young Frodo. Just beautiful. Beautiful, I say. So let's jump in. Let me show you this world. What a wonderful world. And no, not the Louis Armstrong version. So if you don't know, that's awesome because I get to tell you. For those who do know, bear with me. You get the version of the rough version, beginner version. I don't know what this version is, but you'll probably already know what I'm gonna say. But let's try see if you don't. But anyways, for those who doesn't know, don't know, Lord of the Rings, or LOTR for short, it takes place in Middle Earth. So Middle Earth is this wonderful, beautiful place that is home to many creatures, and they're elves, dwarves, men, orcs, goblins, and hoblets. You know, kind of like they call them halflings, but basically they're short people who love to eat and party with their neighbors at all times. No, they're not Italians. Yeah, that was bad. Okay, sorry. So the trilogy is broken into three parts. So, if you don't know trilogy three, it's a three wonderful storyline. So the Lord of the Rings is actually broken into three. So there's the books and the movies. There is the Fellowship of the Ring, there is the Two Towers, and then there is the Return of the King. So these are the little three parters, and they're all pretty awesome, pretty different. So we have the main characters. So let's talk about those really quick. The main characters are four hobbits, one wizard, one man, one dwarf, and one elf. So here's the deal. So basically, the storyline goes is there's this one ring. It's like one ring to rule them all. That's actually what in the movie and the book. And it's made by this dark lord called Sauron. So Sauron, I actually thought about this when I was prepping. I was like, I don't even know what Sauron's race is, except really the idea of it is just kind of the depiction of pure evil, right? So just think of something really evil, but it's also really tall, has pointy horn. I don't know. Just bear with me. Watch the movies and you'll understand. But he's pure evil, and there's like an eye thing, which again, that's kind of I don't want to spoil everything, but yeah, anyways, you get it. So in the prologue of the setup, this whole storyline is Sauron was defeated by this king in the ring. This actually ring what made him super powerful, and it now needs to be destroyed. So it actually needs to be destroyed where it was made in the fire of Mount Doom. That's literally what this like volcano is. So just think really hot volcano as opposed to a cold one. Anyways, the king doesn't destroy the ring because he's the race of men. So, men always crave power. What jerks. So he keeps the ring and da 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 da. All of a sudden, we're at this storyline of the Fellowship of the Ring, Lord of the Rings, and you find that this hobbit has the ring, and then he does this little journey and he meets some of the main characters. But basically, when I would say, the real journey adventure begins, is they realize that they're off to destroy this ring. So the Fellowship is these eight people that I mentioned, or the eight main characters, right? So they're off to destroy evil, destroy the ring, defeat evil. Classic good versus evil story. So the books, so just a heads up, the books, fantastic. They're really great. I will say this though, if you read the books, the Fellowship of the Ring is a very dry, because he loves this. The author is J.R. Tolkien. So if you don't know him, it's a good author, but he created this whole world. But Fellowship of the Ring is very dry because he likes to describe literally everything. And when I mean everything, he like spends pages upon pages of describing this, the landscape, the you know, the forest, what you see if you were literally walking down the path, and it's not bad. It's just it can be, after a while, after about 500 pages. I'm just kidding. It's not like 500 pages. But it's a while, right? So it can be dry, but once you get through it, the books move. You move pretty quickly through the books because they get kind of that excitement. The characters start to develop, anyways. Movies are also entertaining. So, however, if you're a book lover and you don't appreciate when the movie makers stray too far, then you probably won't love it. If you like entertaining movies, then you're good. You will definitely like this. Definitely good storylines and pretty good character development. They are extremely long. When I say extremely, think of a 3-hour movie and then make some more popcorn and watch another 3-hour movie. Okay, they're not like 6 hours each, but they. If you were to watch all of them in one day, it would take you 21 hours. That's 3 movies. Well, okay, that's the extended versions, which, to be completely honest, I know that sounds crazy, like, "Oh my gosh, how did they do it?" Well, when you're super and you're very passionate about this, I was gonna say super nerdy, which, whatever, we're nerds. Part of the nerds. Anyways, watch the extended versions. That's all I'm gonna say. It's worth it. I know it's long. If you can sit through a long movie, do it. Obviously, each movie is broken up into 2 parts, so you can also just watch a part, and they actually do it really well. When they had DVDs, the good old DVD days, there was 2 discs, so you just watch one part and then the second part later, and it left off on a good part. So it's almost like you watch 6 movies instead of 3, and that kinda breaks it up into, like, 6 long movies instead of 3 extremely long movies. You get my point. So, but it's so good. It's worth it because the extended version gets a little more deeply fun. And I say that because I actually just rewatched all 3 movies, not the extended version, and I was very disappointed because I haven't done that since they came out. So this is like '04, '05, whatever. I don't even know. I- In the middle of the O's in 2000, right? So like 2005. I think that was the last one was made. I don't know. Anyways, point is I was disappointed that some of these storylines weren't in there that were in the extended version. So just a tip. If you're gonna go in deep, dive deep into the hole, I'm telling you, it's worth it. So good. Anyways, so for those who know this story, that's awesome, and there are a ton of sort of supporting characters throughout. And I know I said that the main characters are only 8 because I removed one. Like kind of I see as a supporting character because there is technically 9 in the Fellowship. I said 4 hobbits, 1 wizard, 1 man, 1 dwarf, 1 elf. Well, there's actually this other man. His name's Boromir, and he's part of the Fellowship. So yeah, but no spoilers. No, I'm not gonna say what happens, but the actor is Sean Bean, so you probably figured it out. And if you don't know who that is, that's Sean Bean, also from Game of Thrones. Um, yeah, you, yeah. Okay, I'm done. So yeah, that's kind of the short setup, right? So if you have not read the books or watched the movies, please do. This is like you're like 15 years behind, but that's okay. I'm not gonna be like extremely mad. I know some people are like, I'm not really a big fan of, you know, good versus evil and sword fights and, romance and good beating evil. Like good versus evil is kind of lame. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. Sorry. But I get it. Like it's a different it's a whole different realm, right? Like Game of Thrones is pretty exciting, but again, like when you have although there's no like tons of different races, but you get the point. Like it can be not your thing. I can understand. Well, I don't, but we'll say I understand. So just because I'm trying to care. So, but let's get down to the gritty. So what I love about this series, right? So J.R.R. Tolkien, who's the author, I kind of mentioned that earlier, but just to clarify, he took these great themes and um, and he challenges you with them. Sorry, I can't speak. So these themes, right? So one of the themes, right, is like being friends with people who may be very unlike you. So semi spoiler alert, but dwarves and elves, they don't really like each other. And as you heard, the main characters are a dwarf and elf, and they're part of the fellowship. So they tend to kind of like each other. Well, eventually. So, but that's kind of something that is a theme, right? To be friends with people who you think and assume being that they are very unlike you, and then you kind of actually find that there's more in common, and you really do like these people. You just have this, as we love to call them, biases, these wonderful bias. Anyway, sorry, I'm just being a jerk. But point is that's the theme, right? And then he challenges you. J.R. Tolkien challenges you as a person, right? Because if you really think about it, you're like, oh, I should maybe you want to be friends with. Maybe I shouldn't judge this person, even if they're like short and have a really long beard and are bigger. No, I'm just kidding. That's okay. Anyways, so anyways, the next theme that I was also going to talk about is kind of what is fighting for what is right even if it costs your life, right? So, we always talk about that, but like again, J.R.R. Tolkien uses one of that theme. It's just the whole book, and even in the movie, it just always seems like evil is so much more powerful. It is overwhelming. There's betrayal. There's these things that you kind of just are overwhelmed with, right? Like you just how is good gonna win? How is good gonna triumph over this bad? There's just so much. And it's kind of like the whole saying of, you know, w- stand up for what's right, even if you're the only one to do it. And then you're like the one of like, 500 people, and it's kind of awkward and uncomfortable because now 500 people are against you. That's kind of the vibe, but that's the point. It's like you want to do that, right? You want to be passionate, even if it costs your life. Um, so again, like a good challenge for us, even when this just seems like impending doom. J.R. Tolkien likes to challenge us. And then one that I also like is, love will always outlast darkness as long as one holds on to this, right? So as long as you hold on to this love, this and choose this, right? This hope and goodness, if you will, it will always win. Like if you watch the theme of this whole good versus evil at the end, spoiler, alert, good wins. So it's really awesome. I think that's what's sweet about this series is all these themes, and there's more than that, right? Like I touched on some stuff, but there's a lot of awesome things because this is in a time where there's that hierarchy of male is above female, and there's even though there are female fighters and warriors and swordswomen, if you will, there's this kind of idea of it's pretty much all men that are fighting the orcs and the goblins or elves and they're male elves or male dwarves, right? So it's just, but then there's this theme where there's scenes where they show that oh, women are powerful. What? They're BA or whatever. And I, not and I don't want to sound. Please don't hear what I'm not saying. Like that is a great theme. So that's just one of them, right? And I don't want to. Again, I'm trying not to spoil it for the one person that hasn't seen this. I know, like everyone's like, yeah, we already know. Thank you, James. We've heard the story. Um, yeah. Anyways, you get it. So I also want to say Peter Jackson actually does a good job of portraying these themes in the movies. It he shows it. It's just his perspective, obviously, and it can some people, like I said, if you're really big into the books and you get frustrated with that, like again, I would recommend not watching the movies or going into the movies with an open mind. Totally understand. I have this vision of or this belief that you should actually probably watch the movies first because you will enjoy the books that much more than the movies if you do the books than movies. It happened to me. I hate to say it, but it did. Not with Lord of the Rings. I did have to read Lord of the Rings before I watched the movies because it was during my childhood, and that's how my parents were. And actually, that was yeah, I think it's a great cause, right? Because you should try to read the book before you see the movie, or at least try to be like, I'm gonna go watch this movie and then read the book. Just who reads nowadays? Just kidding, but really, seriously, who does? Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, so the whole thing about Lord of the Rings is just there's there's a lot of stuff to unpack, right? And if you know anything about, J.R. Tolkien, you also will find that Lord of the Rings is like the big scene that he kind of throws in and he creates this world, and then you also get this wonderful little books called The Hobbit, which they try to make in movies. That movie series is a little rough because I say series because it's technically 3 movies for 1 book, but the book is the same size as 1 book of, like, Fellowship of the Ring, so it's I don't yeah, it didn't make any sense. The way that sorry, Peter Jackson, I disagree with you on this one, but the Hobbit movies were they again, if you don't know the story of the book, they're entertaining, and I struggle with the 3rd one as being, like, super entertaining. The first 2 were mildly entertaining, but well, the first one was pretty decent, but the second one was kinda like, "Eh." The 3rd one was just like, "Wow, I paid money to see this in theaters?" Or, "Wow, I rented this movie? Wow, I got this for free and I still watched it?" Yeah, that's sorry, but that's kinda how bad it was. Okay, maybe it wasn't that bad, but it felt like that, especially because yeah. But J.R. Tolkien created this whole world, and there's even a book called The Silmarillion, and if you probably saw Amazon post it as doing this thing called The Ring of Power, so that's part of the whole realm, and there's a lot to unpack, and there's a book called this oh, yeah, I already said that, the book called The Silmarillion, sorry. That book is very hard to read. Most people struggle to finish that book, even if they're big J.R. Tolkien fans or Lord of the Ring fans or Middle Earth fans, whatever you wanna say. But the world itself, like J.R. Tolkien just had this imagination that was amazing. And yeah, well, we've capitalized on it in the movie theater. So, but yeah, so that's Lord of the Rings, right? It's just fun to unpack. If you're really into that stuff, I definitely check it out. If you have any slight of enjoyment of like good themes, though, like especially that good feeling themes, right? That's just gonna really hold to you. I mean, there's even some tough scenes, obviously, but it's really good. Like I recommend it to anyone. Uh, Again, there's gonna be people that can't sit through that long of a movie. There's gonna be people that aren't really into that type of like the fantasy world, that type of theme. But if you look past some of that, which again, that's hard too, because again, those two things aren't necessarily about enjoyment. It's just their personal preference. The themes in itself are great and it really challenges you as a person. Really does. I know that's crazy and people are like, "Oh, I never thought of it like that. I just really enjoyed Frodo and Gandalf," which are the characters. I didn't say in the character's name because, you know, I want to surprise you. I want you to be surprised. I want you to figure it out. I want you to know that the actor that played the shortest character in the movie was actually the tallest person. Mind blown, right? Okay, so yeah, the whole thing is that's where I really would suggest anyone to enjoy and sit down. And I would plan this out or just know that your day is going to be ruined, like literally the whole day. Like there's no way because I think it's 21 hours, something like that, and that's like 21 hours straight. I think it's 21 hours. I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but it's gonna take you at least a day, literally like a full day. Because I mean, you're not just gonna sit there watching it and then using the rest. Well, I guess you could do that'd be kind of weird. I would enjoy the experience and not do that. That doesn't sound very enjoyable, but I guess to each their own, right? All right. Well, that's going to conclude today's episode. I think I've rambled enough about wonderful Lord of the Rings and the amazingness. I would definitely go check out the movies. Again, if you go to the books, my suggestion is just get through the fellowship as best you can. You will be you will be pleased after that. It's worth it. So that is the wonderful journey of Lord of the Rings. Oh yeah, and if people don't know, I apologize. Like I made this statement at the beginning, and I'm like, just like people that didn't see haven't seen this are just like, I don't really understand the walking without shoes joke sentence statement. Yeah, you're of great observation. I did not circle back, but for people because I that was to the people that did know, but I feel bad that I left you guys out. But the hobbits, the halflings that I talked about, they actually don't wear shoes. They literally are shoeless the whole time. They have like big wide feet and they're hairy. Literally, there's hair on top of them. So, I mean, if you know anything about me, it's like looks like my feet. But okay, that was a little personal. So sorry about that. All right, well, I'm gonna just let you guys go. Just make sure that you check me out on the Facebook, the Eclectic Entertainment Experience. Pretty much any tag on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter is, at Triple E Podcast. So that's spell the word triple and then the letter E. You'll find me. I'm not hard to find because I'm not trying to hide or anything. So yeah. But anyways, I'm on most of the socials right now. Facebook, again, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram is where I'm at living my life right now. And then I'm posting this to Spotify. I'm also on Buzzsport, and I will also be posting it on Apple Podcasts soon. So um, spread the word. I'm really excited next week which I'll actually be posting on Wednesday for once. I'm excited because I'm gonna bring on two guests and talk about a wonderful TV series that may surprise you. That is also for adults. It's actually probably more for adults, but again, this series claims it's for children only. Well, so you'll probably figure that out. But anyways, thank you guys. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.